Hello everyone, and thank you for clicking on the YouTube thumbnail. Welcome back to the channel. It's Christmas Day. Probably not while you're watching this, but it's Christmas Day now as I'm riding. I thought the roads will be empty, all you've got is like kids like this doing wheelies on the bikes, on the new Christmas bikes. So I thought I'd come out and do a quick video, bit of change of scenery from the trip to my jiu-jitsu club. Anyway, the whole game is waking people up. The whole game is getting information to people that they're simply not getting. Words from my friend Darren Nesbitt, and that's what I intend to do on this channel, to reach a different audience and give them some information that they're not getting in the mainstream media. And let's face it, the mainstream media is dying. They've lied to us for far too long, and we're the media now. You can be the media. We've got access to different platforms. If you've got the time, we've got the technology, we can do it. Just thought I'd ride around the centre of Mersey. This is actually a bridge. This is a bridge that I'm on here. A lot of people don't realise the River Mersey is running under this. I think it's the widest bridge in the whole of the country. I'm not quite sure. If anybody knows of a wider one, let me know. So I wanted to talk about the book that I'm reading. So this is going to be part 2 to the What the Nurses Saw. It's going to be a bit of a series really as I get through the book. I'm just trying to give information out that I'm becoming aware of, and a lot of people from the freedom community will know this already, but what I'm going to talk about is the ventilators and the use of ventilators during the COVID era, or the COVID panic as he calls it in the book. The fabricated pandemic, because let's face it, where did you see a pandemic? Where did you see it with your own eyes? You saw it on the television. That was it. You saw it in the newspapers and you heard it on the radio. All the mainstream media collaborated with world leaders, elected and unelected, mainly unelected, to convince you that there was a pandemic in 2020 when there wasn't one. And I stated this at the time, so did a lot of people, and I was called a conspiracy theorist, and I'm still getting called a conspiracy theorist to this day. Anyway, let's talk about what the nurses saw. Now, as quite a few of you know, I used to be a firefighter, and we used to work alongside paramedics and answer emergency medical calls, mainly cardiac arrests. A lot of cardiac arrests, as I said in the last video. The biggest cause of death in the Western world is heart disease. So we used to turn out to cardiac arrests, and we used to do CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. And we used to try and keep the person's basically the purpose of CPR is to keep oxygen moving throughout the body to the vital organs to buy time until you can shock them with an AED, an automatic external defibrillator. And I went to many cardiac arrests where we tried to save people. Most of the time, I'm not sure if we actually did save anybody. However, the paramedics would come along and they would, we used to breathe in, we used to give, rescue breaths, breathing for the person into the lungs because they couldn't breathe themselves. Now, at times when the ambulance staff arrived, they used to intubate them. Okay, basically it's putting a tube in down the throat, seals off the throat, and then they connect them up to a ventilator machine, and the machine breathes for that person. Now you can do that because they're unconscious. Okay, you can get the tube down the throats. and breathe for them. Ventilators are used as a last line of defence. In fact, I'm just going to go around here now. We actually had an incident. There's the public toilets here just to the right in Stockport, and this is literally the scene where we went to try and rescue a guy. Here's the public toilets in Stockport. They closed today, right? But a guy had a cardiac arrest on the toilet in there, and we brought him out to the ambulance just behind us here. So you intubate and they put the tube down the throat, and it breathes for them. It's the last line of defence. All right. Most people that go on ventilators, they're very, very seriously ill. They could do it after maybe you've been in a car accident. You know, you're unconscious, you can't breathe for yourself. That's when you put on them. Now, here's the thing. During the COVID era, they put a lot of people on ventilators. Now, people were coming in, they were being diagnosed with the fake PCR tests. They were put on ventilators. They were administered then as a COVID patient, whether they had COVID or not, because the symptoms, such wide-ranging symptoms, cough, cold, sneeze, temperature, you know, general cold or flu symptoms, you were admitted into hospital as a COVID patient. The hospitals in America, they were given, for every admission of a COVID patient, they were given $11,000, right? So it was in the interest of the hospital, and the doctors and nurses, or the doctors as it were, to administer them as a COVID patient. Cha-ching, $11,000. Okay. Then, who was the mayor of New York? The epicenter of COVID in America, we were told. He said, we need ventilators. There's a guy called, was it Cuomo? Ventilators, 30,000 ventilators. Guess what? For every single patient that was put on a ventilator in America, in New York, they got an extra $39,000. That's added to the $11,000 for being admitted as a COVID patient. So there you go, $50,000 per patient on a ventilator. Kerching. So these patients were going in and they were okay. They were cough, cold, temperature, sneeze, whatever. And, oh, we need to put you on a ventilator. You can't just put people on ventilators. You've got to administer drugs via an intravenous drip to sedate them, okay? So they're conscious, they're a bit of snivels, maybe a bit, really bad flu, cold symptoms. Let's put you on this ventilator. Never ever been done before, but let's do it now, because we're going to get, kerching, an extra £39,000. So, been reading this book, what the nurses saw, testimonies of these nurses. I can't fully remember their name. They're all difficult names to pronounce. Nicole Sturrock, something like that. I'll put it up on the screen. And Erin Marie Oswinski or something like that. And there was a guy, Kevin Corbett, in the UK. That's an easy name to remember. And it was their testimonies. And they were telling us they're putting all these people, these patients, on these ventilators, and you're putting at least, was it 6 intravenous drugs into the bodies? Drugs like remdesivir, drugs like midazolam, fentanyl. Okay, these were suppressants, respiratory suppressants, and then they were being mechanically, the ventilators were mechanically breathing for these people. Every day, one of the nurses said, every day on a ventilator is a day closer to you not waking up, when they didn't have to be put on these ventilators. And it was these hospital protocols which came from above, okay, that were killing people. And when these nurses were raising the alarm, they were bullied, they were struck off, they were threatened with losing their jobs. So a lot of them just went along with it. It's kind of staggering. It amazes me. And here's another thing: when you're on a ventilator, how do you breathe? How do you breathe? The machine's breathing for you. How do you eat? Because you're sedated. She said, a lot of the times they didn't even put a tube which was feeding them. Sometimes they did, but they weren't getting any fluids other than the IV drips that were going into them. So basically, they were starving them to death as well as drugging them. Yeah, sounds unbelievable, doesn't it? Some of you people listening to this might be thinking, what a load of bollocks. Well, all I'm doing is repeating the testimonies of the nurses that were there. So here's another quite unpleasant thing to talk about. So they they would lay there for days. How do they go to the toilet? So what happened was basically, what some of the testimonies of these nurses was that the people were just basically left, and there were dried feces all the way up their backs. And the attitude of some of the staff that were supposed to be looking after them was, oh well, they're going to die anyway. They can't, they're not awake, they're sedated. Just leave them. There wasn't enough staff. So, can you imagine that? And of course, all the families weren't allowed to come to the hospital. They weren't allowed. And there they died. So, yeah, I'm not going to dwell on that anymore now. I just wanted to bring this information to you, because we can't forget people need to be held accountable for what happened during that period. And I'm not really aiming that at the kind of doctors and nurses that did nothing. Maybe I'm a little bit. They need to speak out like some of the brave ones did in that book. But all these protocols came down from administrators, the bureaucrats. In the UK, there's an organisation called NICE, and it's quite the opposite of NICE, but NICE stands for National Institute of Clinical Excellence. Yeah, I think it was set up, if I remember right, by Tony Blair's administration. Yeah, Tony Blair. Anyway, these protocols came down. They're very much in tune or associated with the big pharmaceutical companies. And anyway, it was the bureaucrats from NICE that set the hospital protocols in the UK. I'm not quite sure who would do that in the US, whether it's the FDA, the Food and Drug Administration, or I don't think it's the CDC, Centre for Disease Control. There's another one as well that I can't remember. But yeah, it was these bureaucrats. Go nice and slow. This guy's got 2 dogs on long leads. Cheers, mate. Thank you. Yeah, it's it beggars belief, really. But people did what they were told. Most people did what they told, and there were people like myself and people that have now formed the freedom movement, which were trying to wake people up and tell them, I know, I don't know about you guys, I can understand people falling for it, because it was the biggest psyop ever perpetrated on mankind. It was a military grade psychological operation, and there are people to this day, they just can't let it go. Because they were so bought into the psyop, and they followed all the rules, then they can't let go. They can't say, oh, I might have been wrong. It's the true measure of somebody's integrity. If they can see something that they did and thought, wow, that was wrong, I was wrong there, and hold the hands up and say I was wrong. I've done it in the past, but on this one, all the evidence is there now that we were right. But some people just can't let go, and they throw the labels at you. You conspiracy theorist, you anti-vaxxer. What else can I cover? I can't remember. But yeah, they play the man, not the ball. The ad hominem attacks, and all the evidence is there. It's all there. Let me talk about something where all the evidence is. Right, there's a guy that runs a BitChute channel, okay, BitChute.com, and his channel is Check UR6, CHECK, I think, then UR6. Or is it Check UR8? I can't remember. I'm going to put it up on the screen now. He's been running a series called Young Hearts ever since the start of the COVID era, and what an amazing job he's done of documenting all the people, all the young athletes for the most part, but not just that have died since the COVID era. And this started in direct correlation to the rollout of the injections, and you've got athletes, young people getting myocarditis, pericarditis, strokes from blood clots, and he's up to, I think, episode 64 of Young Hearts, and these videos just document all the news stories of young people dying suddenly, falling over on the football pitch or whatever sports arena that they're playing in. And I've put this to some people, some of the people that are still bought into the mainstream narrative, I've put that to them. I say, look at all the young athletes that are dying, and the response is always the same. It's, yes, but that's always happened, right? They just don't want to let go. So there's like with anything, there's a degree of truth in what they're saying. But the numbers game, oh my God. So the biggest study of athletes dying was completed by a Swedish university, or is it a Swiss university, one or the other, and it finished in 2004. They published the results in 2006, and one second, it's pretty narrow up here. I've got to go up this pathway. Sun's in my eyes. Oh, nearly clipped the pegs in on the wall. I was nearly off. Bit of a warner. Here we are. Okay, we're on Underbank. So yeah, they conducted a study and they looked at a 30-year period prior to 2004. And it turned out worldwide there was on average 29 deaths per year of athletes just suddenly keeling over. 29 per year. After the rollout of the injections, I think it was to the young people, I think in December 2021 there was 90 sudden deaths on the sports ground in 1 month in December. 90. So it was 29 per year from the study previous, and then there was 90 in 1 month, and I think it was the following next 3 months there was 90 each month after that. I've got those stats out of the book Cause Unknown by Ed Dowd. And if you want to, I'll put it up on the screen now. If you want to check that out, it's all there. It's a great book, that. And I could show that to people, to the disbelievers, and they will still find a way of clinging on to the mainstream narrative and not believing. Okay. Yeah, Christmas Day and the town is empty. It's the best time for riding round. What are you all doing today, guys? The Dazman documentary is out in just a few days. I can't wait for that. Please, guys, if you are watching this and you're looking forward to the documentary, I have spent quite a number of hours, to say the least, in putting it together. It's an amateur documentary, you know, it's an hour 20 minutes long, but have a listen. It ends really upbeat. There's lots of interviews in it. I've talked about this many times now. Lots of music. Followed the band round, so lots of gigs where they're playing at. The lyrics are absolutely fantastic. Dan's done a great job, direct and straight to the point. He's got one song actually called Captives. It's brilliant, and it's really about all the people that, all the, should I be derogatory, all the normies out there that still believe the official narrative. It's aimed at you guys if you're watching this. I don't think there's many normies watching this. I don't think there is. It's called Captives, and it basically, how does the lyrics go? We come together to set the captives free. They don't know they're prisoners yet, so they fight and they kick and they scream. Fantastic lyrics. And I think that's what we do, you know. Like I said, it was a psychological operation, military grade. And I say that because you've got what's the military unit now that does the social media psyops? Is it bloody hell, 79 Brigade? Is it? I forgot the name. I used to be able to reel it off straight away off the top of my head. Yeah, I think it's is it 79th Brigade? I'm not sure. Anyway, yeah, I'll put it up on the screen. Yeah, they conducted a social media campaign to brainwash people. They set up fake accounts. They attacked people, right? A friend of mine, I don't think she'll mind me talking about her and her situation. Her father, okay, was an ex-police sergeant in Greater Manchester Police. My friend, two friends actually, two sisters, Lisa and Louise Meadows, and their father took the injection. He was in his mid-70s, one of the fittest 70-year-olds there was, according to their doctor. And they told him you shouldn't get the injections, but he's of that generation that believes what they were told on the TV. You know, the BBC was telling them to do it, so, you know, let's do it. Anyway, he took the injection, and literally it was within a few days, hospitalised. I can't remember the full details, but went in hospital. I think it was kind of like a multi-organ failure, and very sadly passed away. And the reason I'm saying this is because Louise went onto social media, onto Facebook, and she put a video out saying exactly what happened to her father, and that video went viral, and she started to get attacked by different people, or, well, who she thought were people, but it wasn't. It was fake accounts which had been set up by the British military unit, which, let me get it right, I think it's 79th Brigade. And how cruel is that? This is the depth that the state and the people working for the state will go to. Her father was killed by that injection, and they went to trolled her on the social media accounts. I hope those people can I nearly swore then. I hope they can fucking sleep soundly at night. Yeah, that is the level that people will go to. I mean, you've only got to look back to Nazi Germany. I read a book called Ordinary Men, Reserve Police Battalion 101, Ordinary Men. They were given these orders to go out and literally massacre a load of Jews, and it's awful. And they massacred all these Jews in these villages. Just took them into the woods, shot them in the back of the head. Ordinary men, ordinary people in these battalions. In 79th Brigade, trolling people that have had tragedies. Yeah, well, I hope they can sleep sound at night, because I certainly couldn't. So this is Vernon Park in Stockport. Slippy. I'm just going to have a quick zip round here. It's this park where I did one of the interviews for the documentary. I followed Darren round. Hi mate. I didn't follow him round. Kind of. I said, let's come to the park and film the interview here. And he walked around, and I was doing lots of backward walking with my camera while he was speaking around here. My nose is really running. 25th of December. It's not, my nose is running, but it's actually not that cold. Yeah, I thought it'd be nice to get out in the fresh air, do a video before everything goes manic, because my parents are coming down from Anglesey. It'd be nice to see them. I wouldn't be surprised if they're here by the time I get in. I don't know what time it is now. It's probably round about 10 o'clock now. But they like to get here early, so they'll be here very soon. And then we're having a kind of waif and strays Christmas dinner. By that I mean, it's a bit unfair to say that. We have done something like this in the past, but people from the freedom movement that we've met over the last few years, there's been lots of fallouts with family, and we've had our fallout with family too. Yeah, anybody from our group that we're going to be alone on Christmas Day, we said don't be alone, come and have dinner at our house. So we have got, I think, the last time I counted, we've got 16 people round for Christmas dinner. Let's get there past these dogs. Cheers, mate. I go nice and slow. Cheers, thank you. Yeah, so we've got 16 people round for Christmas dinner, and then there's a bit of an open invite to all the other members of the group in the evening who are going to spend the day with the family, and we thought if you can't, you know, if it gets a little bit much and you want to come and join us afterwards, then come, we'll have a bit of a party Christmas evening. So there might be up to 30 people around the house for the evening. So it's going to be a really busy day. So I thought, let's get out first, let's get some fresh air, let's do a video, and then I've got to go back. Sue's probably started prepping the food. I'm going to clean the house and then help Sue with the rest of the dinner. So that's going to be our Christmas. Dogs everywhere, some on lead, some off lead. He's not heard me. Just passing through. Thank you. I'll go nice and slow. Thank you. It amazes me, you know, some people, you know, they see this and they really like it. She liked it, she smiled. Other people are so grumpy. So grumpy. I mean, we can all be grumpy at times. Yeah, let's see if these smile here. Go nice and slow. Thank you very much. Hey, cheers. Wow. Do you like that?
Well done.
Thank you. There you go. Passing our favourite migrant hotel here to the right. Cheers, guys. Nice and steady around this bend, as it's so slippy. Yep, let's have a look. Let me show. There's our Bredbury Hall Hotel and Country Club. Might take you for a little bit of a ride round there. Why not? I've talked about it quite a bit. Let me take you for a little spin round there. Oop. Christmas motorbike. Awesome, hello. Right, the barriers are down, but we have ways of getting in. I think everybody's a bit more friendly this morning because it's Christmas. Right, the barriers are down. But I'm going to go up the path. Is that your Christmas present? Okay, we are going in. So this is Bredbury Hall Hotel and Country Club, guys. Let's see who's out and about. I know, I'm pretty sure that all our overseas friends don't celebrate Christmas. Just one person there on the phone. Hi, man. How you doing? Taxi. So that barn there, that's the Bredbury Hall's infamous nightclub. I've had some great nights in there. Let's have a quick wander around here. There's not a lot happening. Should we read the blue sign? Let's read the blue sign. Bredbury Hall, 1570. What's the sign say? Bredbury Hall, built on the site of the former residence of the ancient Bredbury, spelt B-U-R-I-E, family. The hall was first mentioned in about 1570. The adjacent Teeth Barn is a 16th century addition. The Davenport and Arden families later lived here. There you go. $1570 or there or thereabouts. Okay, let's go. I'm wondering if I can zip under when this barrier goes up now, rather than have to try and jump that curb. He's going to let him in. Come on. Oh. It's a really steep curb. Oh, it's opened. Too late. I'm going to go. I can't limbo under this. So, oh, they're going to let me out. Must be on some kind of what do you call it, an infrared beam or something like that that you activate as you pass. Okay, it's been a long one, this, longer than I thought. Istanbul Master Barbers, coming up here on the right hand side, is closed today. Closed for business. Not that a lot of business is conducted there, it's normally pretty empty. Guys, thank you so much for watching the video. If you're still here now, thank you very much. I'm just trying to get information out to you. And then you can do with it as you please. But as I said before, we are the media. The mainstream media is dying, and we can get information to people that they're simply not getting. And that is the whole aim of these videos. And I like to try and, while I'm giving this information, show you scenery, and make it an enjoyable viewing experience. So like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Over and out.